Hello, greetings. Got a lot of hat on today. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected, and connected. And we are talking about climate change news of the day. Welcome, everyone. Lots of people in the chats on the YouTube. What's going on, Rockfin? Got some people watching on Rockfin. Let's get some more people watching on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. Poppy Davis, Laura Neufeld, Jay Thadcast. Jay Thadcast says those guys are super greasy. Orc One. Urban Hermit. How you doing? Let's get more people on Rockfin. And hello to all on the YouTube side. Yeah, not going to be a super long show today. And my dog is trying to eat me. Let's see. The thing I wanted to talk about was global oil companies have committed to net zero emissions. We're saved. This is great. Great news. Right? This is how the mainstream media might spin this. Great news, guys. Oil companies are on our side. You know, the way they like to spin the things. Kids in cages are now kids in facilities. If anybody saw the Nicolas Cage meme, Nicolas Cage, Nicolas facility. Anyways, pretty funny. But let's read more about these global oil companies committed to net zero emissions. It's a sham. Do you really? The energy industry is like a smoker who goes from 1 pack a day to 2, but claims they're quitting because they switched to filtered cigarettes. Oh no, these are filtered. Oh, these are menthol. These are ultralights. I remember I used to smoke. The United Nations campaign Race to Zero. Race to Zero. You know, yeah, guys, everyone, we're saved. Race to Zero is on. We're gonna race to there. I'm gonna be first. I'm racing you to zero. Recently published a paper identifying 20 pathways to reach net zero carbon emissions. In December, the British Oil and Gas Authority published a requirement that oil and gas development be consistent with net zero. And I mean, just hold on a second. The mental gymnastics that it has to take to actually publish a requirement that oil and gas development be consistent with net zero, despite approval of new offshore permits, right? This is the British Oil and Gas Authority. BP, Shell, and other multinational companies have all now published their net zero pathways. Guys, we're going net zero. We're the oil companies. Cheers. Hear, hear. Oh, I do say. This is going to be grand. We'll pass a resolution saying we're going to get to net zero. And the public will undoubtedly believe every word we have to say. It's marvelous. The world finally seems to be aligning around the idea that to have a stable and safe planet, a planet which is quickly becoming unstable and unsafe as we speak. So are we going to go, again, just the non-alignment with reality is interesting at best. We need to reach net zero emissions to have a stable and safe planet, guys. That's what we got to do. That's fantastic and overdue. What's less fantastic is that many companies and countries are using net zero to justify expanding the production of fossil fuels. Yeah. 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 This is something people living near fossil fuel infrastructure and our global climate simply can't afford. Take Canadian oil giant Enbridge, for example. In November, it committed to a target of net zero emissions. In spite of that commitment, the company has pushed forward with blasting and bulldozing a new tar sands pipeline through sensitive waterways in indigenous lands. Guys, this is our pathway to net zero, but let's get those pipelines built and let's get those indigenous people off their lands quickly, shall we? Or, we'll just ignore them while we build the pipeline. The Line 3 pipeline is heavily opposed by local community water protectors and indigenous leaders, many of whom have been arrested in the past month for blockading the project. The pipeline, if completed, would have the impact of opening 50 new coal-fired power plants. 50 new coal-fired power plants. That's the impact of the pipeline. 50 new. So, guys, we're getting rid of all our coal plants, right? We're going away from that dirty, dirty coal. Meanwhile, we'll build a pipeline that will have the impact of 50 new coal-fired power plants and adding 38 million new gasoline vehicles to our roads. This is like a smoker going from 1 pack a day to 2 and then claiming they're quitting because they're switching to filtered cigarettes. All that the major oil companies have done with tacit support from many governments is shift their public narrative about the climate crisis from denial to delusion. They're no longer insisting there's no problem because they lost that argument. Net zero is their attempt to continue business as usual without addressing what they're doing to people and the planet. And if you want to, you can and you should extrapolate this exact same pledge by the oil companies to the governments and other companies that are talking about net zero. The other huge tech corporations that are like, yeah, bro, we're totally going net zero. Dude, we're doing it. We're on it. And all the governments of the world that are like, yes, net zero, this is the way to go. They are also not addressing what they're doing to the people on the planet. And their claims and all their aspirations, that's what I meant to say, are not, they're not grounded in reality. Anyways, if it wasn't so serious, the premise would almost be comical. Oil companies are claiming that not only can they keep their current levels of production, but expand their operations that extract and refine fossil fuels. That certainly is a pathway to net zero. They would have us believe that by planting trees and using largely unproven, expensive, and thus far inefficient carbon capture technologies, they can reach net zero and solve the climate crisis, all while continuing to grow fossil fuel production. It's the same as growing your economy. It's the same as saying, guys, we're gonna have jobs and we're gonna have a strong economy and people are gonna have money and they're gonna be really good consumers and we're gonna just buy all the things and make all the things and we're gonna be so productive. It's the same thing. But the worst part about that statement by governments and others that are not fossil fuel companies, the worst thing is that they are not drawing the connection between economic growth and fossil fuel emissions and or resource extraction and or environmental degradation and destruction. They're not connecting those things. It's easier to point to oil companies and go, yeah, you guys are full of shit. Way easier. Anyways, they would have us believe that by planting trees. I read that. This argument is delusional and based on bad science. To have any realistic shot at maintaining a 1.5C world, also, this sentence is almost not based in science. We need to be winding down and phasing out fossil fuel production, not growing it, as its executives are incentivized to do so. Even as fossil fuel companies admit the climate crisis is a real and pressing issue, they continue to build out infrastructure to support 120% more fossil fuels than the world can burn in a 1.5C scenario. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. We are here. Let's be clear. Anyways, going back to the 1.5C scenario, not to mention that they're also spending billions of dollars lobbying governments to weaken climate policy. Let's be clear, net zero is being used by incumbents to obfuscate what actually needs to be done to meet the Paris climate goals. The rush to build out more infrastructure, the inordinate amounts of spending to influence elected officials, all of this is a last gasp attempt by a dying industry to lock in as much profit as possible while it still can. Yeah. Fossil fuel companies are using bloated estimates of nature-based and carbon capture technologies along with carbon markets to justify further fossil fuel expansion and production. We can't let them. We already have too much carbon in the atmosphere. We already have too much carbon in the atmosphere. And I'm going to link this for this writer back to staying below 1.5C. We're very, very close to 1.5C. And we'll definitely hit it in the next couple of years. And so they're not telling you, when you say like, we've got to stay below 1.5C, we're not going to stay below 1. Sorry, that ship has sailed. So stop. I wish these people would stop doing this. We got to stay below 1.5. We're not going to stay below 1.5. There is already too much carbon in the atmosphere. That's why. We're not going to stay below 2 or well below 2. It would be really great if writers, scientists, journalists, mainstream media, governments, anybody at all could tell the truth on that. And painting that truth a rose color or a cherry color, or painting the future or the near future in some kind of, putting in some kind of lens on it so that, makes it feel like, oh, we got a little time here. We don't have any time. And we don't have any margin, and we don't have any carbon budget. We don't have any of that. None of that is left. Tell people the truth, tell people the truth, tell people the truth. We are already experiencing floods, fires, droughts, and extreme weather. Yes, that's true. So we're already there. We're already in a non-stable, non-safe climate. And at this juncture, every extra ton produced matters. Yes, that's also true. That's why we need a solution that involves international cooperation supported by a massive groundswell of popular support to solve this crisis, arguably the largest and most urgent we've ever faced as a species. Well, yes, indeed. All right, fair and true points there. One that pushes back against false solutions and manages the transition to a clean energy economy in a way that is safe, fast, and fair. The best solution is a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty paired with local actions to constrict fossil fuels like those being undertaken by movements like Safe Cities. To phase down fossil fuels and enable a globally equitable transition to cleaner energy and economies. No government or company can do this alone. If we are to address competitive equity, leakage, and competitiveness, equity, leakage, and everything else needed to align production with climate science, okay. No, there's no aligning production with climate science, okay? Just stop it. Stopping production is aligning with climate science. Stopping production, bringing down production. Degrowth. Stopping consumption and production aligns with climate science, not aligning production and consumption with climate science. No. We need international cooperation. Endorsed so far by nearly 200 organizations around the world and cities including Vancouver and Barcelona, the guiding principles of the treaty are straightforward and modeled on post-conflict nuclear non-proliferation treaties. Non-proliferation, preventing proliferation by ending all new exploration and production. Well, yes. Global disarmament, phasing out existing production in line with 1.5C. That would be 20 years ago, but anyways. Peaceful transition, fast-tracking real solutions through scaled-up access to renewable energy and a just transition for every worker, community, and country. Peaceful transition, dismantling all militaries of the planet. That's your peaceful transition. The U.S. military standing down completely, bringing home all troops, stopping all military exercises immediately. Dismantling their military. That's a peaceful transition. The challenge of climate change is large but not intractable. Again, maybe a little bit of deceitfulness there in that sentence. There are pathways out there that would lead to a 1.5C. Nope, there are not. They just don't include fossil fuel companies and governments that insist they can keep expanding production under the guise of net zero. All right. Just want to read through that. I give that one I give this a C. Some true truths and also a good spoonful of bullshit. What's up, people of Rockfin? We got 13 on Rockfin. Osama, Poppy. Irk1, Kevin Shanholzer. Hi guys, Scott Andrews. How y'all doing? What's up, people on YouTube? Jay Brandt, Ross Cobbin, Schulze 100, Human Love Solidarity, Nasbanabs, Jay Thadcast. What's going on, guys? Schulze 100 says, SOS, no solutions coming, just the same impending nightmare. Loey Appitz, funny that governments can only invest in huge infrastructural projects to generate employment against all green principles. Indeed, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's just that's a big old fat blinder and a thing that they're going to try and ram down everybody's throats. And they're doing it right now, and they're going to continue to keep doing it. We got to have a green transition, or we got to make jobs, green jobs. Aligning production with climate science. No. Poppy Davis D minus. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I thought there was, she hit on some reality. There was some reality in there. There was a lot of unreality in there. 989 Big Boss, enjoy now. Nightmares on the way. Yes, it's colder in California. It's actually raining right now. Started raining a couple minutes ago. We're gonna get a little, 3-hour, 4-hour storm, and it's chilly. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to this last thing I want to cover today. And I will be doing a neo-realism on Rockfin at noon, a quick one. This is, Kevin Shanholzer sent me this. Russia launches satellite to monitor climate in Arctic. Yeah, so they're like, we gotta watch the Arctic. We gotta make sure we keep an eye on the Arctic. So recognizing that there's a situation going on there, recognizing there's an issue there. I don't know how much there's going to be to watch in the Arctic very soon. I mean, what do you need a satellite for? There's some ice. Now there's no ice. But, Russia launched its space satellite Arctica M on Sunday. On a mission to monitor the climate and environment in the Arctic amid a push by the Kremlin to expand the country's activities in the region. The Arctic has warmed more than twice as fast as the global average over the last 3 decades. The Arctic has warmed more than twice as fast as the global average over the last 3 decades. Kevin Shanholzer pointed out that in other versions of this same article, they left this paragraph out. Interesting. Or maybe, totally expected. Hold on one second. Hey! My dog is being a rascal. Just trying to eat everything. Let's see. Let's go back to this. The Arctic has warmed more than twice as fast as the global average over the last 3 decades, and Moscow is seeking to develop the energy-rich region. Yeah, that's why we need a satellite. Energy-rich, investing in the northern sea route for shipping across its long northern flank as ice melts. It's going to be great, guys. It's going to be great. Oh, it's going to, that's Scottish. It is going to be great. That's Russian. The satellite successfully reached its intended orbit after being launched from Kazakhstan's Baikonur Cosmodrome. I'll meet you at the Cosmodrome by a Soyuz rocket. Dmitry Rogozin, the head of Russia's Roscosmos space agency, said in a post on Twitter, Russia plans to send up a second satellite in 2023, and combined, the two will offer round-the-clock all-weather monitoring of the Arctic Ocean and the surface of the Earth, Roscosmos said. The Arctica M will have a highly elliptical orbit that passes high over northern latitudes, allowing it to monitor northern regions for lengthy periods before it loops back down under Earth. At the right orbit, the satellite will be able to monitor and take images every 15 to 30 minutes of the Arctic, which can't be continuously observed by satellites that orbit above the Earth's equator, Roscosmos said. The satellite will also be able to retransmit distress signals from ships, aircraft, or people in remote areas as part of the international Kosmos SARSAT satellite-based search and rescue program, Roscosmos said. Okay, I get it. So they're just going to be a lot of people and things and ships and drilling platforms and submarines and all kinds of goodness up in the Arctic, and that's why they need these satellites to make sure they are everybody's being seen and heard. I feel so seen. This Arctic satellite, I'm feeling so seen. As more activity takes place in the Arctic, and as it moves into higher latitudes, improving weather and ice forecasting abilities is crucial, said Mia Bennett, a geographer at the University of Hong Kong. There's also an element of data nationalism that is feeding into all this. Data nationalism. Watch out. Countries, especially those that see themselves as space powers, want to be able to rely on their own satellites and data to inform their activities, whether commercial or military in nature. Cue the Death Star theme. Yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be great, guys. It's a whole new Arctic. It's the Arctic like you've never seen before. Irk1 says, I blame science fiction for giving these wealthy nut jobs all these stupid goals. Okay. The oligarchs are planning to build... Oh, I saw that. Yeah, to build a hotel in space, complete with artificial gravity. We're saved. That is actually pretty super interesting. I'm going to grab that article, I think, and probably read it tomorrow. Hotel in space. Hotel in space. Anyways, guys, I think that's the end of my time. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I will see you all in about 30 minutes. See you all in about 30 minutes on Rockfin for some Neo Reels feels. Some Neo Reels feels. All right? It's all right? It's okay? Okay. Peace.